Are you in or considering being in an intercultural marriage? If you are, watch this video on tips and tricks and hopefully some advice on how to be well in an intercultural marriage. What's up, you guys? Thank you so much for being here. This is Be Well with Dr. Donna. If you are new here, if you don't know me yet, my name is Donna, and I have my doctorate in physical therapy, my master's in theology, and my bachelor's in health sciences. So this channel is all about being well, physically, mentally, spiritually, all aspects of wellness. And if you have not already, don't forget to click the subscribe button, share this video or this channel with a friend, like, comment, all the things to help boost this video and this channel and YouTube algorithm. So obviously this is not a hardcore science and medicine video, but it's an aspect of life, it's an aspect of wellness. So this was actually a special requested video. So I'm trying to listen to what you guys want to hear and what you guys want me to talk about, and I will try to adjust and cater to that. By no means in any way, shape, sort, or form am I an expert in anything, let alone marriage, let alone intercultural marriage. But hopefully in this video, I'll go over some general topics as well as some specific topics that were relevant and related to our situation and our story, and hopefully can help you navigate your marriage, whether it is intercultural or not. So I won't go into too much detail about how we met. Maybe I'll save that for a different video or a different topic. But I will mention that about a month before we met, we were both still stuck in this mental state of wanting to marry someone from our own culture. So again, it wasn't even until about a month or so before we met that God was opening our hearts, opening our minds to meet and be with someone from a different culture. It's basically these four pillars that if a relationship, if a marriage is founded on, it has a really, really high chance of success. And even if one or two are off or not in agreement and not in alignment, the chance of divorce and the chance of separation goes up exponentially. So the four pillars that a couple must agree on or be on the same page on are faith, finances, child raising and how you're gonna raise your children, and relationship with in-laws. So if you can be on the same page on these four pillars, I think psychologists say that the chance of success of a marriage is like 99% or something along those lines. And then even if one is off, then the chances go down by maybe 30%. And then if two are off, it's like a 50% chance of success. I'll try to find the study if I can. So fast forward, and what we noticed is that our perspective and our understanding of these four pillars were very much in line. And so we were able to find that we were on the same page with these four pillars. And because we were able to check off and be, again, fundamentally and foundationally on the same page with these four pillars, it set us up for success. So what I noticed as I was preparing for this video and I was doing some research on intercultural marriages, some studies and whatnot that have been done, I did notice that I feel like a lot of these topics and these things that I'm going to talk about are not only relevant and prevalent to intercultural marriages, but marriages in general. Okay, so I will start off with the faith aspect. So for us, faith was the most foundational, most important thing of our relationship, of our marriage, and everything else was basically based off of that. So as much as culture played a role, yes, it did play a role, but faith was the most foundational and fundamental aspect of our relationship, of our marriage, of what we had to agree on. So with our faith as a foundation, that would eventually and be the ultimate foundation and how we make decisions and how we go about how we live our lives and our marriage. So given all that said, given even the fact that we did have the foundational and fundamentals all in line and all checked off, does not mean that we were perfect by any means or sort or form, whether individually or as a couple. So what a lot of people might not know is that we did a lot of counseling. I would say that our time being engaged felt like the first year of marriage for most people because we went through a lot in that first year. Also, the timeline of how we met and how we got engaged and married met around New Year. Our first date was in February. We got engaged in March, and then our wedding was in February the following year. So most of the time that we were together before we got married was being engaged. And during that engagement phase and season, we did probably about 6 to 8 months of counseling. And so we put in a lot of work, a lot of work behind the scenes before we even got married. It got to the point that as we were preparing for marriage for our wedding day, it got to the point where we had to realize and decide that we are not just preparing for a day, for a wedding day, but we are preparing for a marriage. And so that's what we put a lot of our time and focus into. To the point, again, that we literally only spent 3 months preparing for the actual wedding, and we spent 6 to 8 months doing counseling and preparing for the marriage. So again, whether intercultural marriage or not, consider gender roles. What does your culture believe and think that your gender role must be? So as we got to know each other more, as we got to explore, and as we got to dive and delve into the deep end of relationship, of engagement, and of preparing for marriage, we had to explore and see what our cultures and Christ says about gender roles. So in two different cultures, the cultures might see gender roles differently. And not even in cultures, but in experiences and backgrounds as well. Was it equal? Were the mother and father, the husband and wife equal? Was the husband the leader and made all the decisions? Was the wife quiet and had no right or no voice or no say in anything? Were they complimenting each other? Did they get information and bounce ideas off of each other and see each other as complementary complementing one another? Were they equal in everything they did? So exploring the gender roles was very, very important in figuring out what your role is and will be in your marriage. Is the wife going to be a traditional housewife? Is she going to be working business? Is she going to still be in the corporate world? Is she going to be doing both? Is she going to be raising the kids? So knowing what each person's role is crucial to having a successful and a strong marriage. Also, expressing emotion. So how does your culture, how does your background, how did you in your home growing up express emotion? Did you express emotion at all? Two different cultures can express emotion so differently. Did you grow up in a home where it was more cold and stoic and you didn't share your emotion, you weren't allowed to share your emotion or show emotion? Or did you grow up in a home and a culture where it was encouraged to show emotion, where it was encouraged to talk about your feelings, where it was encouraged to discuss what you're thinking and feeling and believing and going through with your siblings, with your parents? And so that will definitely make a difference into how you guys interact with each other because of the upbringing that you were brought up with. So that took us a little bit of time to figure out how the other person was thinking and feeling and processing emotion based on what each person was brought up with. But with emotion is also communication, right? How does the other person communicate? How does their culture communicate? How did people in their family communicate? Are they loud and passionate, and do they raise their voice just out of love for the topic and the conversation? Or are they more quiet, soft-spoken, and they don't raise their voices? So just learning on how different cultures even communicate is a big thing. And with different cultures, right, you can think and you can imagine that different family dynamics are different. So what are family boundaries like? Do the families have boundaries, or do you have to draw the line and make boundaries in order for your relationship to succeed? And what are interactions with family members like? Are they warm and hospitable and ready to embrace the other person with open arms regardless of the culture or the face shape or color or style or design or what they're wearing? Or are they a bit more closed off and cold and no, we don't want someone from another culture? And again, this is for intercultural or same cultural marriages in general. Like, do you get along with the family? Do you get along with their siblings? Do you get along with their parents? Do you get along with their cousins? Is it a good fit? Are they accepting? Are they open? Are they on board with your decision to be together? Again, at the end of the day, you do want that support from your family and friends. And then with different cultures, there are different traditions. So going about discussing and figuring out what traditions are you going to keep? What traditions are you going to omit? Which ones are you going to throw away and kind of push to the side? And what traditions are you going to come up with together as a couple? You could be from two different cultures, but have similar traditions, which is amazing. Or you could be from two completely different cultures and figure out how you're going to bring those two cultures together and mesh them together. And traditions will impact a lot of things, whether it's how you go about celebrating birthdays or holidays or naming your children or where you end up living. The traditions will really impact all these future decisions that you'll have to make. So again, deciding how important the culture and the traditions or your faith are in making decisions for you two as a couple and for your future marriage and for your future family is crucial, again, to success. So something that comes up in intercultural relationships and marriages is language. Does this person or their parents or their siblings or their family members, do they speak the same language as you? If they do, great. If they don't, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to take initiative on yourself to learn that language? Are you going to use body language to communicate? How are you going to make sure that you are communicating in the language that they and their family knows? So you can take on learning a new language. You can take on learning the culture. And I think at the end of the day too, whether it is, again, intercultural or the same culture, what really matters is that you take on this person's culture, this person's family as your own. You take on this person's cultural food and cuisine and language and habits and behaviors, and you make them as your own. You know, you consider them as your own. You don't see them as different just because they're from a different culture. What our option is to create a third culture. Some studies quoted it as a third culture, a culture that you create together as a couple. You bring your individual and cultural backgrounds and combine it into one unit, and you take on your cultural aspects and behaviors and traits and characteristics, and you combine it all into one little melting pot, and it's a third culture that you and that person have together. So you start new traditions together, you start healthy habits together, you start a new home, you start a new family together, and you take on that person and their culture, their desires, their flaws, their flukes, everything, and you love them no matter what. So again, I hope that was helpful to you, for your marriage, for your relationship. Again, I'm by no means an expert, but hopefully this was helpful whether you are in an intercultural marriage and relationship or not. Thank you again so much for watching, you guys. Again, don't forget to click subscribe, share it with someone who might need it, comment your thoughts, comment your experiences below. I love you guys. Be well and have joy, my friends. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.